We're back with global politics again, and today we're going to be discussing Trump's decision to back down from an attack on Iran. And we need to discuss that is Mustafa Dinodi. Welcome to another global political show.
All right, thank you, Falabi. It's clear that Trump has backed down from this war, and it even seems, or this impending attack that he was talking about with his armada. And it's also clear that Israel has also backed down. And I want to argue that the reason they're finally backing down from other times they've done strikes on Israel, but this time, I mean, they've done strikes on Iran, but this time they know, based on what happened on the 12-day war earlier last year, that Iran is not to be fucked with anymore. Iran has finally come into full capability in which they show that they can do serious damage to Israel. 12% of their missiles went through Israel's so-called Iron Dome. 12% is a lot when you have thousands. I'm not sure what their exact numbers, but they have a lot more missiles than Israel, and they're very accurate and devastating. They've got cruise missiles which can go as far as Eastern Europe. So what we know now is that with Iran's nuclear, not their nuclear, with their missile warfare, they are devastating. They don't need to have tanks. They don't even need, and they don't need to have air pilots who go and bomb. All they need to use is their missiles, and their missiles work both ways. They strike and cause devastation, and they also have anti-air missiles, and they would exhaust all of Israel's resources. So that's the main reason the U.S. is not going to strike them. And also, they know that this time around, Iran is not going to just do a 12-day war with Israel and stop. They will continue to ceaselessly put missiles and until Israel finally crumbles and comes to their knees. And the only thing that will save Israel in that case would be the U.S. jumping into the war. And the U.S. is not willing to jump into the war because, number one, it wouldn't be worth well, not that they wouldn't be, they would jump into the war, but the U.S. wants to make sure that that scenario doesn't come, so they're not going to attack Iran, because definitely the U.S. would jump in if Iran tried to totally obliterate Israel. But if the U.S. knows that that's what Iran will do, then they won't initiate an attack, because there's no point winning a war against Iran and all of Israel is destroyed, and then Donald Trump doesn't get reelected, because he definitely won't get reelected, because if the U.S. has to jump in to a war to save Israel, it's going to cause destruction on the Strait of Hormuz. Not destruction, but disruption. It's going to affect oil prices. And also, Iran has made it clear, and intelligence agencies know this. Iran will not only attack Israel, they will attack U.S. assets in Qatar, in the UAE, and other Gulf states. And that's going to devastate the economy and also turn those nations against the U.S., because those nations are lobbying Trump, saying, why do you want to do that? It's not like they're afraid to pick a war with Iran for no reason. But the question is, what is the motivation? Trump started off saying the motivation was because of civilians getting killed in Iran. Nobody believes that. Then he said it's to deter them from nuclear um, proliferation or developing a nuclear program. And so Iran, as they have been doing for years, says, okay, now we're ready to go back to the table and give concessions so that you also don't strike us. So Trump can come out of this and make it look like a win. He says, see, they were scared, and now we made them not have nuclear, not continue developing their nuclear program, even though I don't think they're developing their nuclear program. And how this comes out as a win for Iran is that Russia and China have already said that they can show them a way to, they can help them, give them infrastructure to develop nuclear energy, which does not involve the type of amassing of uranium that shows that you're going towards nuclear weapons. So they can show them how to have low-grade methods, the technology of enrichment, because what Iran really wants nuclear energy for is not for war, it's for energy for their country. So going back to what the main focus of our show today is that we are not going to see strikes on Iran, because Iran is now able to inflict severe misery and pain on Israel and ultimately on the U.S. and on its assets in the Middle East. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yes, I quite agree with you. And I dare say the United States or Israel have no right to tell Iran not to enrich uranium to the level where they can defend themselves as a sovereign nation. If the US and Israel are
I
not
want to
playing,
hold on that Iran is an Islamic state which is against nuclear weapons. So they've always been claiming, maybe that's not true, but they've always been claiming that they want to do this energy, do this nuclear for energy, because the West uses nuclear uranium for energy. France uses it, even South Africa, but the U.S. is saying they want to do weaponry. So we just want to add that caveat. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so basically what I'm saying is that if US and Israel are not playing by the rules, they certainly don't have any right to force Iran to do that. And
Yeah.
most of the uranium that they're enriching is basically for electricity and some other things, and not necessarily nuclear weapons. And then to
Yeah.
go back to the critical Strait of Hormuz, this is a critical strip. 1/4 of global oil trade passes through the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, if US or Israel tries anything funny, they're just going to plant landmines all along that place and begin to stop the flow of oil. And this is going to make oil prices really go up, and it's going to affect European
And
oil
they'll have the help
prices.
of the Houthis. And the Houthis did serious damage earlier last year in that strait, and
Yes,
even so that Trump backed down with them too. So
yes.
this is a logistical war that the U.S. can't win. It will lead, or even if they do win it, we're going back to the dark ages in terms of energy. Go ahead, yeah.
It could even go higher than $120 per barrel if anything funny is done. And like you rightly mentioned, if you look at the way it is, US has what they call this thing, interests all around the world. This war is not going to be a symmetric war. It's going to be
No.
asymmetric because, I mean, they have bases. The US has military bases scattered all around the Middle East. And those bases become automatically vulnerable if Iran is attacked. And then the
Mhm.
axis of evil, the Yemenis, the Lebanese, all of a sudden are sleeping dogs that will come alive.
You call them the actors of evil.
Axis of evil, all of
You
them
calling those
are,
guys evil?
that's what the West calls them. I don't see them as evil.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
That's the West posture.
Yeah, yeah.
Propaganda and all those things. That's what the West has been saying all along.
That's
So
true.
I'm
That's
saying
true.
it's
Yeah.
going to wake those guys up, and they're going to act like a cornered animal. And the way they're going to react, the US is going to, and Israel are going to find it very, very difficult. Plus, including the cost of a full-blown war. If they're looking at this as maybe some kind of Venezuela or some kind of nation you can bully, Iran is not in that category. They have ballistic capabilities beyond what the US has faced in the Middle East. And it's going to
Yeah.
just rouse them. I think what Trump is banking on is that they can create some kind of chaos within the populace that can now make the people fight and implode. I think that's what they're
That didn't
banking on.
they tried it, but it didn't work because the people on the ground realized that even though there was chaos, it wasn't enough to bring regime change. And also, Iran did a brilliant thing. That chaos was being caused by the Mossad and by operatives for
Yes,
America and
Mossad
Israel.
operatives.
And this goes to show you the level of warfare that Iran has now. They shut down Elon Musk's Starlight, and once the internet went down, the coordination for all of that went down. And so what you're looking at is Iran also they have some of the best mathematicians, physicists, and engineers in the world, if not the best. So they dominate in chess. So they have a history of cognitive behavior that's very intelligent. And they're able to do
In fact, on
electrical
the
warfare too.
contrary, yeah.
They can do electrical warfare, which means that if they fight, and the U.S. and Israel don't have electrical warfare, they can jam signals, jam things, so that Israel won't be able to communicate, and the U.S. and Israel and all of their satellite systems that coordinate attacks will be in the blind, in the dark. What were you going to say about contrary?
Yeah, you're right about that. They're technologically advanced. What I wanted to say is that rather than weakening the government, any kind of attempt to force the people to implode, will just unify the population around
Yeah,
the state
it'll lead to more.
and make them more defiant. It will make them more
It's
defiant.
like if you and me are fighting each other, and an outsider comes and says, "Oh, I'm going to attack Moose." You can like, "Hey, motherfucker, this is an in-house war. This is an in-house fight. You get my point? Get the fuck out of our house." Or let's say you're arguing with your kids, and then somebody comes in and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat your kids." So in other words, Iran is still a family, and they're not going to say, "Oh, the hell." The American imperialism. So you guys are taking advantage of our fight to destroy all of us. So the Iranians are not stupid. You get my point? I hate to say it, they're not like Nigeria, which says Trump come and help us. Go ahead. As Saeed would say. How you doing, Saeed? Go ahead, Afalabi. Last thoughts, Afalabi, before we get out of here. Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at the economic and the military cost, it's not going to be easy at all. The current
No.
strategy is to let Iran fight for survival, maybe under the weight of sanctions and possibly internal protests. But even that doesn't look like it's working.
They're
you
saying
know.
that they will take off sanctions if Iran takes its nuclear program. And go
And
ahead.
let's even say hypothetically that this war happens. Look at the aftermath of Iraq. It's going to become a hydra that the US cannot manage. You know,
Yeah.
who's going to
But
manage
some people would
Iran
argue that
post-war?
maybe that's what the U.S. wants, so long as they can still have access to the oil, and they want that whole area to be destabilized, and Israel can live in this little cave in that area, safe from all of the. You know what I'm saying? That might be their strategy,
It
but
could be.
it's not
It
going to
could
work
be.
with Iran because
It just
Iran
makes the
is
whole world
logistic.
unsafer.
Yeah, but it's not going to work in Iran because Iran has 100 million people. You can't bring full chaos into Iran, and it has a theocratic democracy which is
Yes,
unified under
now.
Khomeini.
And they're solidly behind
You
the
can't do it to them.
regime. They're solidly
You can't do
behind
it
the
to them.
regime.
They have a collective. Iraq was just one man ruling as a tyrant. This
For
is more of
sure.
a holistic society in which
Yeah,
everybody buys into the ideology.
of course.
All right,
Everybody
Bob,
buys into
nice
it.
one to take us out. Yeah.
Okay, it's been another brilliant show. We have been discussing Trump's decision to back down on attacking Iran, the consequences and the huge cost it would cost the West if this thing were to go ahead. And for Mustafa and myself, we'll be back again with global politics. Bye for now.
Nice one. Yeah, as usual, Tiller. You see that? See how we're pumping out these shows now, man?